Hello everyone and welcome to the Process Podcast. Okay, we're in the studio. Joining me today is semi-experienced podcast guest, Liam Carmichael.
Hello, hello.
Even more semi-experienced podcast guest, Charlotte Thompson.
Hello.
And for the very first time ever, our very own apprentice, new coach, Andrew Lowe, aka Lou. Andrew, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
And this is Andrew's first time, everyone.
Yep.
He's very nervous.
Ni hao.
Yes, very nervous. Today we are talking about the CrossFit Open and the CrossFit Quarterfinals. The season is now done, and we are currently in a bit of a transitional period where we are resting, recovering, deloading from 2022 CrossFit Open Quarterfinals, and we are starting to get the gears in motion for the next season. With me today, these three individuals we all did the CrossFit Open here at Coastal, and then we all took part in some way, shape or form in the quarterfinals. So Charlotte Thompson qualified via the UK as a female, and Liam and Andrew decided to jump in and join us, which was awesome because I think otherwise it would have just been a few of us, three of us, and helped to make it a really, really memorable weekend. But it was also the first time both of you had done the quarterfinals. So today we're just kind of chatting about all that stuff. But before we get into that, what's been happening with your life at the moment, Liam?
What's been happening with my life? So this morning I've had actually a fantastic Wednesday. I done some, well, the gym's still closed, unfortunately. We're opening back up on the 20th of April.
22nd.
So what we on another 10?
So we basically got just over 2 weeks.
Just over 2 weeks. So yeah, gym's been closed obviously since January, which has obviously freed up a bit more time for us in terms of, obviously we're not coaching group classes. We're obviously still doing some LPC stuff, but me personally, I didn't have any LPC this morning. So this morning looked like coffee, programming, sunshine, training, programming again, and now I'm doing the podcast. So
you took Andrew through some individual stuff?
Yeah, so we're starting, these guys, they obviously finished up their mentorship for the group class program, so now they're moving on to their individual mentorship to take on personal training clients.
Sounds like a cracking day, Liam.
It was fantastic, Edward.
So just for listeners, I've introduced Andrew as our newest apprentice. Him and Karan is overseas at the moment. He went back home to see his family, are embarking on kind of a 4 to, not really sure how long it's going to take to finish, but an 8-month journey where by the end of it, they'll be fully fledged process programming coaches, and they'll be coaching people individually and in groups. So Andrew and Karan have finished the group coaching portion of their apprenticeship, and they are now coaching people in groups, primarily online at the moment, which is all we can do, unfortunately, at the moment, but doing an amazing job. And Andrew actually has already started taking on some individual clients, but we are now going to be refining his individual coaching process.
We are.
Which is that, and we're going to be testing our course that myself and Liam have been making for the last, how long have we been doing that for now? Feels like forever.
Since October we've been doing
Since
it.
October.
It's been a lot of filming, but it's great.
And when John remembers to hit record, we've got some amazing footage there on the camera. So we're going to be testing it. We're going to be testing that out on Lou. He's going to be our first guinea pig before we test the rest of the team. Okay, on to you, Andrew Lowe.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Like, actually, for the lockdown, is actually like opening up a lot of opportunities for me to coach. And then, although it's doing it online, I still like it's the first time for me like in charge of a class, and also like coaching people how to do like everything, and then also like in Cantonese as well. I haven't coached it in Cantonese, so I have to, although like most of them are in English, I just like, but like I still have to like use my mother tongue. Is kind of like different. It's more like familiar, and also like people tends to more enjoy what I coach, and I can like joke a little bit more maybe. And then like I really enjoyed coaching online actually, like although like there's less interaction, but like I can like try to be more calm, and then try to like do my own work. Like, yeah. I
think I got to watch you this morning doing a coaching a group class, and I've watched quite a few of them now, and you definitely have become a lot more calm in your ability to coach.
Yeah.
I think we're all doing, you guys especially are really doing loads of online group classes, but it's definitely a different challenge. Isn't it? I think it really tests your ability to like be succinct with your cueing and your commanding. That really tests your verbal cueing. You don't have tactile feedback or tactile cueing as an option anymore. I know what are some of the other challenges you guys are noticing with online like Zoom classes?
I think what I've noticed is can be quite challenging is that when obviously not everybody's got the same equipment.
Yeah.
Not everybody's got the same loads. So on the spot, at the briefing, you're trying to figure out, okay, what loads do they have? What equipment do they have? But on the spot, you're having to make some subtle changes to some exercises, which can be challenging, but also very rewarding as well as a coach, because you can, on the spot, make a sub and it works right. So that's been cool.
No, I agree. I think like for our LPC classes, like not knowing what equipment people have is definitely a challenge. But also, I think we know them clients, right? Whereas Andrew and I both coach the 30-minute classes online, which we kind of allow anyone in Hong Kong to sign into, and it can be someone you've coached before, someone you have no idea, and you've just met them in that like first minute that they've signed in. And some people have zero equipment at all, and I think it's challenging, but it's actually really cool as a coach and really rewarding to be able to coach someone through like an endurance, a HIIT, or like a strength session in 30 minutes without knowing how they move previously, without zero equipment but a backpack. I really enjoy that. I think that's really rewarding coming out of that.
Something I think I've noticed because I've been on the watching end of all you guys coaching group classes, it's now been, by the time we open up, we're almost going to have been closed for a quarter of the year, which is nuts to put it back into perspective. 25% of 2022 is going to be gone with us being closed. And the Zoom classes, obviously affects us as a business, but our clients also have had, pretty substantial change ups to their lives. Yeah. One of the big things is they don't have the gym that they're so used to training in. And I know that even in the group setting, when there's numerous people in on a group class, kind of turns into like a big group catch up and like almost like a group therapy session sometimes. For sure. Yeah. Just people, wanting to chat and just catch up almost becomes just as important as the training. You guys
sometimes
found that?
I have like people sign in. They're in the waiting room like 5 to 10 minutes early just to have a quick chat and, chat with everyone who's there or just the coach. And I always kind of use that first 5 minutes to just make sure everyone's doing well. But through the exercises and definitely towards the last 10 minutes of class, people just like there's banter flying, you can share music through it, people chatting to each other, and it's actually really good. And I think they're using it as a way to keep in contact with everyone because you can't actually see everyone in the gym and things like that. But I really enjoy it. It's like the highlight of my day, just seeing the clients because I don't see them outside the gym.
Yeah, I think our clients just are, in general, our like clients here in Hong Kong that follow the LPC are incredibly resilient. Like, Ed just said we've been closed for 4 months, but the year before we were closed for how many months? Maybe 4 or 5 as well. Yeah. So we've been they have been working out in their own, maybe in their bedroom, in their kitchen, in their rooftop. And it's just incredible to see how resilient people are and how much they actually value fitness, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting opening our doors again. Can't wait. Yeah. Super excited. It's kind of the thing that everyone's talking about at the moment. It's just like 22nd of April. Can't wait for gyms to open up. Get back in. It's happening. So everyone just knock on wood now to make sure we don't jinx that and we actually do open up.
Yeah, super excited.
Last but not least, Charlotte. You're going through a bit of a hectic transition with life, aren't you, at the moment? Stressed. What's been happening?
Yeah, I've been chatting these guys' ears off. I'm currently moving apartments. So my day started with my first wake up in my new apartment, which is great.
How'd you sleep?
I actually slept okay, but I think that's because I was just actually so shattered from everything. So I'm house sitting for a friend for a few months. So I'm moving out of my current apartment, which I've been for 3 years. So it's quite emotional time at the minute. But no, really good. It's nice to like declutter and, get rid of everything, kind of turn over a new leaf. So it's good. As I was saying to you guys before, like I'm stressed, but I'm good stressed. Like I'm in a good mood about it. I'm not kind of stressed and just being like, oh my God, there's so much to do. And, I'm getting through that list. And this time tomorrow, it will all be done. So
it's exciting, but it's still stressful.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, definitely stressful. But in a way, I'm quite grateful that, you know, this morning I was able to wake up in that apartment. I had a couple hours PT in the morning. I trained, and then I have the afternoon to go home and sort it out. You know, I actually think, you know, if we were open and stuff, I'd feel hit a lot more, which is why I timed it a couple weeks before we open up. Yeah. So everything's settled, and then once we open, you can kind of hit the ground running.
And you got a balcony in your house now?
I do. I have two. I actually didn't realize there's one out the back as well. There's two balconies, so I can go out my morning coffee, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, see, it'll all be worth it.
And a rooftop.
It'll all be worth it.
2 balconies and a rooftop.
Well, the balconies are mine. The rooftop's like communal.
And it's a pretty sick rooftop as well.
It's very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Training right now. What are we doing? Liam, what are we doing with our training at the moment?
So we've all jumped on the build program. So we've used this week to kind of test drive our new cycle that's starting on the 11th of April, which will be next week. In fact, next week, all of our new training programs, or should I say the cycles of all training programs, including Elite.
Yep.
Yeah, everything's starting fresh next week, which is exciting for us. So we've kind of used this week just for all the coaches to kind of test drive. It's also given me an opportunity to get some feedback from the coaches, which has been really cool. And yeah.
Well, one new thing we're doing with the build program is that we are going to include it in our affiliate program, which we've never done before. So the build program in the past has always been exclusively for online subscribers who follow it themselves, but we've had a number of our affiliates actually express an interest, or affiliates around the world express an interest in wanting to, you know, change up the focus of what they provide to their members. And the build program seems to be where a lot of people are going, you know, moving away from CrossFit, moving into kind of structural balance, bodybuilding, strength training, and getting jacked basically, moving well, which is the goals of the build program. And so, you know, there's always, when you think, it seems probably simple to most people, it's like, okay, well, what are the limitations of running it in a group class? Well, you just got to adhere to a 60-minute window, but there's loads of other things that go into it as well, like equipment selection, the flow of the class, setup, dismantling of equipment. Like, so we've been playing around with lots of different things. What have been some of the biggest challenges you found in kind of reprogramming for an affiliate to be running in a group class?
Yeah, so I think like Ed said, like that original intention with the build program was for people to do it in global gyms or CrossFit gyms or whatever it was going to be, but the intention was never to run it in a 60-minute class in an affiliate. So I think one of the challenges was just time, just making sure that class will run on 60 minutes, because when you're not thinking about running a class, it's kind of like, oh, it can run 70 minutes, it can run 55, it's all right. But now it's like, oh no, that actually needs to run 60 minutes. And then you've got your optional accessories. So that's been a challenge. And then in terms of just equipment, right, just being a bit more mindful of, well, not every affiliate's going to have access to a full cable system, a full pulley system. So just being a bit more mindful of exercise selection and rest periods as well. Just being a bit more, obviously we use with the LPC, we like to use like EMOM formats, or every 75 seconds. So just being a bit more on the ball with that. But it's worked out pretty well this week.
Been fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
Andrew, how have you found it joining the build program?
I found it like it was really, really good. Like after the quarterfinals, my body needs to like have some rest, and then it's nice to change it up the like a training program, and then just to see how my body feels afterwards. Like for example, this Monday we did like an upper body session, and then my lower body actually like got 2 days absolutely off, like, and then I feel great today jumping into the leg section, and then I'm sore right now.
All wobbly legs. Yeah. Lotte, how have you found it jumping in the build?
Yeah, no, I agree. I really enjoyed it. I think similar to Lou, like having that time off after quarterfinals and stuff. And obviously just kind of with a lot of stuff going on outside the gym, being able to come in and everyone's doing the same thing. And it's almost like Liam's taking us as a class is actually really good. You can kind of just go into different headspace and everyone's doing it. I actually really enjoyed doing it with the team. I think that's one thing that I love about training. I don't really like doing things by myself, and when everyone's doing the same thing or following the LPC or build, I get a lot out of it. In terms like body wise, feeling pretty good. A little bit sore, but that might also be because I'm lifting all the stuff outside.
True. Yeah, something we've been so used to is obviously pretty much all year we train together as a massive group, and most of us are doing the LPC program. But during the CrossFit Open quarterfinals, it all got a little bit disjointed. I mean, like some of us, just speaking to myself, basically had to deload for 7 weeks. So my training looked a bit different. We tried AM, PM shifts where we were basically trying to avoid COVID like the plague. We decided to half the team would work in the afternoon, half the team would work in the morning.
Just me and Lou.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically the big groups turned into tiny little groups. And then we realized that actually wasn't really necessary. So we scrapped that. And then some of us were doing the quarterfinals, some of us weren't. So it's actually nice. It feels like it's been a really long time where the whole team is back together. And when I say the whole team, I feel like we've only got half the team here.
Yeah, we're still missing a bunch of people, right?
Loads of people. Ant's currently living the dream in Dubai, prepping for the semi-finals now. Skulk has just flown back home to see his family. Bernie is away. Yeah. Paddy has gone on to greener pastures, chasing his heart in the UK. So unfortunately, Paddy won't be a part of this podcast anymore.
Holly's away.
Yeah. Vanessa's left. Karan is in India. So actually, when you say it, basically everyone's away. So, but it's still nice to just get the team together and train. Okay. Let's talk about the 2022 CrossFit Open. My first question to the table is, how many CrossFit Opens have you now done? Charlotte? Did you not download your CrossFit Open certificate when you signed up this year?
No.
And post it on your Instagram?
Did not.
I didn't either.
I even got like the angry message from Ant that I didn't have the app on my phone.
Oh, God.
I think this is my fourth that I registered for.
Fourth. So this is 4. Yeah. Liam?
Yeah.
This was officially free, but actually just doing the CrossFit Open, this is like my first actually doing it.
So you've done it twice without signing up?
Actually it's like signing up before, but didn't do all the workouts. Only done like one or two. Cherry pick basically.
Nice. Yeah. Just turned up for the strength event.
Yeah, I agree. So 100% actually.
Just for the bench.
But this year you did all the workouts?
Did all the workouts for the CrossFit Open.
Yeah. Andrew Lowe, how many CrossFit Opens? He's got his CrossFit Open app right now because he's done so many that he can't remember.
I think like I've done, actually like if I've done all the workout, I only done 2. And then there's 1 year that I did like a couple events, and I'm not sure if it is about the lockdown last year or that I didn't finish all the... I didn't do the wall walks and double under events.
Another cherry picker.
Yeah, another cherry picker.
Basically, what keeps happening every year is that the Hong Kong government always closes us down when the CrossFit Open starts. So really what we need to do, we need to get the Hong Kong government into CrossFit, help them sign up for the Open, and I'm pretty sure that we won't get closed down next year. So if you're listening to this podcast, Carrie, which I'm sure you are, you buddy sign up and do your fundamentals with Coastal Fitness ASAP, please.
Mr. Lee instead of Carrie Lam, because like...
Imagine if she came here to do it.
That would be amazing. Okay, so between us, this was my 8th CrossFit Open.
Ooh.
My 8th CrossFit Open in a row.
In a row.
That's why you needed 7 weeks to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But how many have you signed up for? Have you signed up for more but not done all the workouts?
No, of every Open I've signed up for, I've done all the workouts. There was one workout where I ended up in hospital halfway. No cherry picking over here. I ended up in hospital halfway through because I got a little infection on my bum. So I had to skip a workout. But other than that one workout, I've never missed a CrossFit Open workout. It was 100% stress related. Okay, so my next question is, how was this CrossFit Open experience different from previous CrossFit Open experiences? And that can be open to interpretation. Lotte, as you've done 4, how was this year different?
I'll go with like the physical side of it to begin. I think for me, this year was like head and shoulders above the past 3 years that I've done. I think after last CrossFit Open, I kind of made a decision to step up and kind of work a little bit more on my weaknesses, especially in like the gymnastics field. So I actually, had a good conversation with Ant, and he's now my coach. I train with him. And I think from the physical like performance side of this Open, I went into the workouts with a really good mindset and like really positive, and actually felt like I could do all the movements. Previously in the Opens, I knew that there was a movement that would bottleneck me or I didn't have in my toolbox, whereas I was pretty confident that I was relatively competent in like most of the movements that was coming up, and I just had fun with it. I mean, I did actually test positive for COVID in week 2, but so I was actually recovered in time to hit the second workout, which was really good. But I think and I was lucky to be able to do it, but from how it was different to previous opens, I definitely felt my strongest physically.
Yeah, physically felt prepared, like there wasn't a movement that you couldn't do.
Yeah.
So just real quick, I want to talk about what you've been doing this year with your training. So you've essentially been following the LPC, but Ant has been basically writing a lot of it's been strict gymnastics. Like I know your upper body has gotten a lot stronger this year, and you've basically been...
She's jacked.
Yeah, you are pretty bloody jacked. You've been really consistent all year at getting your extras done. I don't think you've really ever skipped it. I feel like you never really skipped it.
So I've really enjoyed it. Like, I mean, as I said before, I went to Ant after the Open last year, and I'm going to be honest, like I actually went to Ant to have a conversation more towards my coaching. So I kind of felt that there was a hole in my coaching, that I didn't feel confident coaching specific high level gymnastics or weightlifting and things like that. And I wanted to go to him to be able to put myself through that process. So in order that I could step up as a coach and really relate to the clients. And I think if I put myself through that, and therefore I'm able to go through the strength requirements and the skill work for gymnastics, I can understand it a lot better. That's just what I wanted to do. And then from that, it actually came to a lot of like little performance goals. And my biggest weakness was basically I just wasn't strong enough, especially in gymnastics. And as we know, like to get the skill of gymnastics, kipping on the bar or muscle ups and stuff like that, it all starts with strict strength. So I went on a crap load of strict pulling, pushing, everything. And I saw massive progress, like really, really quickly. And then from there, it kind of came, my coaching also leveled up, but also did like my performance. And then it was, little goals of 15 chest to bars, 20 toes to bars, things like that. And I was hitting that 3 times a week. So I would follow the LPC session 5 to 6 days a week with the crew, but I would dedicate 30 minutes on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday to my iTrain. And Ant was really, really good. And I just kind of said to myself, like, this is the time for you. And yeah.
Nice. I think it's such a good way to learn is to learn by doing. Put yourself in the athlete's shoes, but you also learn not only as the athlete, but you learn as a coach as well.
Yeah. And I think like, specifically with the gymnastic stuff that I really struggled with, naturally I was quite strong, but I just didn't have the technique, and I still kind of suffer in that area. Like I have the strength, but my technique breakdown isn't 100% yet. But I feel like, especially when we were open and I was in group classes and I was coaching something, I would cue a movement, say if it was for like a muscle up or even just a toes to bar, and I could see that it didn't sit right with the client. And then I think, okay, well, what would work for me? And I feel the movement, and just being able to have that movement in my toolbox at a relatively like good capacity, I'm actually able to relate to my clients a lot more, because I understood the movements before, and I can, coach you. This is what we're looking for, points of performance. But until you actually go through that process yourself, you want to know how it feels, and you need to know how it feels so that you can actually put your body through it, and the client knows as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think like just going off what you said, like there is no better teacher than experience, right? We've talked about it in the podcast before, like that experience of actually putting yourself in those shoes of that athlete, of learning the bar muscle up or learning the toes to bar. That's invaluable. Like you said, you can know all the points of performance, but until you actually go through those drills or the breakdown yourself, then you can't really relate to the person that's coming in and just staring at the bar. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember us having that conversation last year where it was, the conversation was I want to build confidence in, being able to go up to maybe a more experienced client and be able to teach high school movements. And I think we said, well, why don't you invest in your own coach yourself? And I know, Liam, you certainly took a very similar route, investing in your coach for last year. And I know you've learned a lot in terms of the ability to teach other people as well. Awesome. Andrew Lowe. It's weird calling you Andrew. I'm just going to call you Lou from now on, because that's all I ever call you.
Okay.
We call Andrew Lou, by the way, because obviously the weightlifter Lou. What was his? I always get his last name wrong.
Liu Xiaojun.
Liu Xiaojun, the bloody strong bastard. Every time Andrew used to come in Olympic lift when he was a client, because he had really good technique, and obviously he's Chinese. This is not racist at all. I'm half Chinese, everyone. I would just shout Lou from across the gym. And then Lou started calling me Lou, probably because I was really shit at weightlifting.
Not really.
And then now,
half.
Because I have half the mobility as Lou. And now everyone just calls Lou. And I think, to be honest, 90% of people that call you Lou have no idea. I reckon they actually think your real name is Lou.
Yeah, I think so.
They probably think you're Andrew Lou.
Yeah,
Andrew Lou.
Everyone thinks I'm Andrew Lou, but it's okay because
we'll keep it.
Yeah, we'll keep it.
It's nice being nicknamed after one of the strongest men in the world.
Yeah, that's okay. So,
it's okay. So Andrew, this is your second CrossFit Open.
Yeah.
So tell me,
officially second CrossFit.
Officially second one. How was this one? How was this year's CrossFit Open different to your previous one?
Well, like the previous one, I think is in 2019. I was like still a member right here, and then it's probably like after half year of training and stepping into the first CrossFit Open, I have no idea what's going on, and then people just throw like different movements. Suddenly I have to do like straight handstand push-up and stuff, but like I really enjoyed it for the first time, and this is the second time. Like 3 years past, like my like what I've changed is I from a member to a coach right now. What I want to achieve is that like there's something I want to prove, or like there's something that I want to show people, is that like not only like it's just as a coach I want to be at a certain level. I don't like, you don't need to be like a real athlete or like world-class athlete, but somehow I want to like prove myself that I got the ability to do something. But like although I'm not like, I know that when I get to like this year, I know that like it's a marginal case for me to get into the quarterfinals. I know like briefly where I'm at.
But you almost made it.
Yeah, I almost made it. That's why like I've already imagined that like it's kind of like a 50-50 chance. But like yeah, so I almost made it. Like that's why I try to repeat every single workout, because I try to make into the first 10%. But like unfortunately, like the first one after doing the 22.1, and then because like we need to be isolated, so that's why I cannot repeat the workout. But it's definitely okay. Like I learned a lot from it. Like I've learned that like if I put like 100% in my first one, if I nailed the strategy and stuff, I could have gone better. Like for example, next year I don't really want to repeat the workout and try still like make sure that 100% I can get into the quarterfinals. That's my goal for next year.
I think
so.
We're quite similar. We have a tendency to underpace pretty much every single workout that we do. But you're right, in the CrossFit Open, you kind of, if you underpace your first attempt, it means you're doing a second attempt. Yeah. But I think you did an amazing job. You ended up being how many % out of the top 10 in China? In Asia, sorry.
In Asia, I think like 11 point.
Yeah, you were just
9 or like something like that, 2%.
2%.
Just real quick, in your training this year though, because you've had quite your training journey has evolved quite a lot over the last few years. When you first joined us as a member, you were part of the LPC program. You hadn't done that much strength and conditioning. It was kind of your first, would you say, pretty early days of strength and conditioning when you first joined us. And then you decided to invest in a coach, so you started working with Alex as your coach, where I think you took a little bit more of a weightlifting focus for about a year, where you were on the iTrain program.
Yeah, more like 9 months to a year.
And then you transitioned back into the Live, Perform, Compete program. How did that feel, transitioning back after taking a year out to focus a little bit more on weightlifting?
I take a year out because like I want to work on my strength and Olympic weightlifting first before I getting back into CrossFit, and then because I want to have really good fundamentals on those weightlifting movements. And like just like playing basketball, you need to know how to dribble the ball first before you know like stepping into a game. So I want to do everything like really like doing all the fundamentals things first, and then obviously like gymnastic like or double unders is my weakness, so I'm working on it right now. But like after that year getting back to LPC, I feel like is a great transition back to the LPC, that I can like finally get like all the puzzles together and trying to like
Yeah. You could give you that opportunity to really focus on one thing. And weightlifting is such a big aspect of the sport of CrossFit.
Yeah.
Not just like snatching, clean and jerking, but obviously squatting, deadlifting, and all the accessory movements. Nice, Lou. Mr. Carmichael.
Yes.
So you didn't cherry pick any workouts this year?
I did not cherry pick.
Why didn't you cherry pick?
No, this was the first year that I said to myself, it was so very similar to Charlotte across the table. Then, like last Open when I was here, done a few of the workouts, and I'd just arrived in Hong Kong.
You hadn't been doing CrossFit?
I hadn't been doing CrossFit before. I'd just been doing like strength and conditioning. So I'd done some of the workouts with a few guys when I first arrived, and obviously noticed that I've got a lot of skills that I need to develop strength-wise. Relatively okay, but skills were lacking big time.
Really strong.
In terms of like gymnastics and even like double unders. So very similar to what Lotte done after the Open, I went and found myself a coach. Same idea. It was through experience. All I wanted to gain was experience, and like we said, like that teacher, that's essentially how you're able to convey information to the other person, is actually by doing it. So that was one of my goals. So in terms of the actual skills that I developed over the last year, I think I done not bad. So then rocked up to this Open, which was a lot of fun, but obviously I'm still lacking a wee bit aerobically. So when there was aerobic tests, and obviously looking at those tests of the Open, those 3 tests, they were very capacity based. So again, stuff that I need to work on, but obviously that's why we do the Open, right?
You almost didn't get a chance because your skill set in the sport has improved like massively. I think we've all seen your evolution over the last 12 months with almost every aspect from a skill standpoint, but you almost didn't really get a chance to showcase most of your skills until the last workout came out.
The bar muscle ups.
But it was also with double unders when my double unders are
it was like all those skills that you've been working on shoved into one workout.
But yeah, good experience, and lots to learn and lots of takeaways.
Question to all three of you. Did you guys have a goal going into the CrossFit Open? I'll start with you, Lotte.
No, not at all. I mean, a performance goal, no. Just, I wanted to enjoy it. I think, I actually remember having this conversation with you a couple of weeks before the Open. Obviously, the gym was closed. And I had the conversation with Ed and Tammy just being like, I really enjoy the Open, when we can run classes and the members are here. Like, the atmosphere is a really big thing for me. I don't think it's going to be quite the same. And, performance wise, I didn't have a goal going into it. So mentally, I kind of taken that pressure off me. And I just wanted to enjoy it 100%. And it turned out to be absolutely great fun because we still kind of created that atmosphere and did it all together every week and stuff when we could, apart from being isolated. But I didn't have a goal. No.
So top 10% was not a goal of yours?
No, it wasn't.
Did you think, honestly, that you were going to get anywhere closer to 10%?
I didn't. So, in total honesty, I had no idea. Lou, every now and then would check the leaderboard for me. I had a couple of friends being like,
Lou is the official leaderboard checker.
You're in the top 10% and just kind of remind me and, not too much. And then, after workout 1, it was a certain percentage and then it was quite higher. But the top 10% wasn't a goal. So it was quite a nice surprise, 100%. And then even when we finished workout 3, I was just no. And then you said it on the update show and I messaged out, I'm like, is what Ed said true? Like, is that for real? So it was quite cool. Yeah.
We'll talk about top 10% later. Okay. Andrew Lowe, did you have any goals going into CrossFit Open this year?
Yeah, I was trying to get into the first 10% because I know that I'm like quite a marginal case. Like, I know that I probably 50% I can get into the first 10%. So I was trying to give my 100% and see if I can get into the first 10%. So
I think you had a really good attitude throughout it. Yeah. It was always like, okay, I could have done better there. I'm going to do it again on Monday. Yeah. And you committed to the redo. You've kind of recovered over the weekend and you hit it again.
Did you redo everyone?
Except 22.1, yes.
Apart from the one when you got COVID and we all had to go.
And also in between my father got COVID, so I have to live in John's home. And
basically that week the whole of Hong Kong got COVID.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do.
Tested negative the morning of that the deadline was due.
Liam, what was your goal? Because I know you had a goal all year, and I hope I quote this correctly, but your goal all year was that you wanted to be able to express yourself in the CrossFit Open. And I know you sat on that and reflected a lot on it, and I think you've kind of questioned yourself, which we talked about on the podcast before. But what was your goal going into the Open this year?
Yeah, it was exactly that I wanted to turn up and not have a movement come up, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't know how to do that movement. So when I said like express myself, was just the ability to express my fitness through all the different movements, not like just very similar to Lotte, not have a movement come up and it completely bottleneck me. So yeah,
I think it's as a coach who works with a lot of athletes, and especially through process programming, and we're going through the reflection process with a lot of our clients right now who've just finished the season. A goal that a lot of people seem to say is that next year, or my goal this year was to not get bottlenecked by a movement. Now I think that's it's a tricky one to state, because we know the tests are totally out of our control. And so, you could maybe look at last year's tests and be like, yep, I wouldn't have got bottlenecked by any movements. But if next year a clean and jerk ladder comes up and the load is going to get to a load where it's suddenly going to get too heavy for you can't lift it anymore, well, then there's a bottleneck waiting for you. And I truly say that for most tests in the sport, probably only the elite of the elite can really say that the sport will not ever bottleneck them.
Did you have a goal, Edward?
Yeah, I did have a goal. My goal was, and I don't mean to sound arrogant here, but it's just because I've done a lot of CrossFit Opens, I have a rough idea of where I tend to finish in the world. And I knew that top 10% was going to be quite an achievable task. I think every year I've finished in the 99th percentile, basically 98th or 99th percentile of every Open. I haven't redone a workout since 2016. So that was 2016 I was doing every workout twice. Fuck. And, I just got to a point where I was like, this just isn't, the toll on my health is not worth it anymore. Yeah. So I made the stance then, I'm not going to redo any, which is good, because it actually forced me to become a better strategist, and a better pacer. Because I was like, if I only got one shot, I need to nail this first shot. So the goal this year was that I wanted to do the quarterfinals, because I really had a great time last year, and I love the challenge of the variety of the tests. But I was only going to do each workout once. I wanted to give my best effort for every workout. So that was like, I'm going to create a strategy and I'm going to hit it hard. What ended up happening was I ended up hitting it so hard that I hadn't been anywhere near that level of intensity in genuinely since last CrossFit Open. So by week 2, I know I was complaining a lot, but I was genuinely fucked, excuse my language. I felt the need. I basically, from week 2 of the CrossFit Open, maybe actually after week 1 of the Open, my training for the rest of the Open was just survive the week so you can do the next CrossFit Open test. Genuinely, if you actually looked at what I was doing, it was pretty pathetic. And then when the CrossFit I ended, I genuinely we had 2 good training days, I think, but other than those 2 training days before quarterfinals, I just rested. So anyway, there's lots of reflections there, but my goal was each workout once, have fun, do it with the rest of the team, and honestly, stay healthy so I can do the quarterfinals, which I failed because I got to quarterfinals and I wasn't healthy. But anyway, good reflections for next year. That was my goal.
Nice.
So here's a question. I think we kind of asked this. It's the same kind of question as to what was your goal, but how do you therefore define success in the Open? So now that the CrossFit Open is done, let's not talk about quarterfinals. How do you now tell yourself whether or not you were successful in the CrossFit Open? Lotte, do you want to have a go?
Yeah, sure. I think if I look back at the workouts and if I think each workout individually was a success, I think it's that I gave it my all. And then I feel like, that if I was to do it again, either I wouldn't do better or I finished that workout, I'm like,
so basically execution and effort was basically what you
and I think it definitely goes back to being healthy through it. I think also prior to the Open I was holding a little bit of a shoulder injury, and I think I came out of the Open successfully. I haven't made it worse, so that was a win. But I think if I look at each workout individually, being successful at that workout, nothing really to do with the leaderboard or anything like that for me. It's that I know that I gave it my best effort, and I feel like that's a bit of an evolution for you, because I feel like in CrossFit Opens in the past, the leaderboard had more significance to you than it did this year. I've never been too much of the leaderboard, but I think previously I agree, because I wasn't aware of my own capabilities and I didn't have much to go off. Whereas I think now I have a little bit more experience in like my own training and what I'm capable of. So I'm kind of, you know, comparing myself to myself, you know, whereas before I'd looked at other people that maybe is like a similar standard. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should kind of get something like that time or lift that, something like that. So it's not necessarily like the leaderboard is different. I think it's just I'm more aware of my own training now.
Andrew, I know your goal was to make it as top 10%. Now looking back, how do you know if you were successful in the CrossFit Open?
Actually, just like Lotte, I think like what I can do next year is given out 100%, and then maybe I would try to do something like you that I limit like one chance only doing the CrossFit Open workout, and then give 100% because like in 22.2, like the first attempt is around like 130 something reps, and then the second time I do it, I did 160 something, so it's a 30 reps increase. That if I do it in one shot, if I give it 100%, I might be able to do more than 160 something, right? Because like
You're just fatigued on the set.
Yeah, just fatigued after the first attempt. So, but it's like I want to define success as I create a strategy and also execute it really well. That's my like define of success. If I like create a strategy, I cannot follow it, or if I create a strategy that is not feasible for me, that's not suitable for me, then that is not no point for that, right? So, what I learned from this like CrossFit Open is that like I have to create my own strategy. Like for the last few years, every Open I try to watch a lot of strategy online, although like some of them give you a really good point, really good like but like everyone got their own different strategy.
Everyone's got their own limiters as well and strengths. So that's why for next year, what I think about is like I have to create my own strategy and also like execute it like on point. Like I think such a big part of being able to design and execute an effective strategy comes from experience.
Yeah, sure.
You know, because all these tests in the CrossFit Open, most of us have never done before. So that ability to look at a stimulus, know roughly how it's going to feel, how long it's going to take you, and what's going to be your limiter, and therefore what would be an appropriate strategy to allow me to do as best I can. That just takes, you need to have done, you know, hundreds of similar workouts or hundreds of variations of that workout to be able to look at something effectively and be like, okay, I have a pretty good idea how it's going to feel. I know that every year I do the CrossFit Open, I feel that my ability to do that is a little bit better. The thing that I lose touch with is where my own level of capacity is at, because I don't push the intensity enough in the year. I'm just not really sure what I'm capable of. I have a pretty good idea of what an 85% Ed would be able to execute, but I always end up surprising myself in the Open because I can actually do better than I think I can.
One thing I will say is I've noticed how smart you train and how you execute your workouts.
Thank you.
Like I actually just
He's
really
the
noticed.
king of pacing.
Yeah.
Like
King of slow pacing.
Smart.
was it 22.2? Like I wasn't here and I didn't watch you do it, but you did bloody good in that, didn't you?
I did all right. I didn't finish it.
Almost.
But I think when you say bloody good, it's because everyone thought I was going to do really shit. This is actually what happens the whole CrossFit Open is I do a workout and then one of the coaches or multiple coaches or the community will message me like, oh my God, you actually did all right in that workout. I'm like,
I didn't expect you to do shit.
I'm like, well, yeah. Well, it's kind of like how I always kind of do about this good in this workout. No, I guess I just didn't think you were very fit.
No, and that's not
cool.
what I'm
because
saying.
You always
I'm not
complain
saying
about
like
your body about not feeling good, and
exactly.
No, that's not what I'm saying, that like you're unfit and I have low expectations of you. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Thank you.
I'm saying
that was on behalf of everyone else.
One thing I really notice is how smart you are about your strategy and your pacing strategy to workouts. Like, yeah.
Thank you. You know, it's funny, I get asked about this a lot, and it's for high level athletes, genuinely 90% of workouts they can look at and be like, I can do that unbroken. Like the concept, when I speak to Ant, when I talk about how he's going to strategize a workout, 90% of the time it's I'm going to do it unbroken.
Yeah.
And there's never been a point in my CrossFit life, I've done 8 opens now, where I've genuinely been able to look at a workout and be like, I can do that unbroken. Because I actually just don't have the capacity to. And I realized that very early on, that I just don't have that physical capability, or maybe part of it's mental. I don't have the willingness to suffer. So from day one, I had to learn about strategizing, braking and pacing. And that gave me a competitive advantage. Because I would say every competition I've done, I probably always end up higher in the leaderboard than my physical capacity should actually allow me to. So what I'm saying is that I'm beating people that are a lot fitter than me.
Because you're smarter.
I'm just able to execute a pacing plan more intelligently.
Which is what I'm saying, yeah.
Thank you, Lotte. I am taking a compliment. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Liam?
For me was also very similar to what everybody said, was just to get through the 3 weeks and be healthy and not feel like I need to deload for 2 months.
Were you?
And yeah, I felt like I was pretty good. I mean,
in
comparative to last year, when I'd done the couple events for the first time, basically with you guys, I was pretty fucking sore, excuse the language, after that. So that was one of the goals, was to get through the 3 weeks and still enjoy my life at the same time, not let that Saturday or that Friday take over the whole weekend. It was like, right, okay, well, I want to express myself. Right, I want to do well in this. I'm going to give them 100%, but once it's done, I'm going to go out and I'm still going to do everything else that I do on a Saturday and a Sunday, not let that take over my full life. That was one of my goals, and I feel like I achieved that. So, yeah.
Nice. I love that. I'd say mine's very similar to yours as well. And I think in order for me to enjoy life outside of the CrossFit Open workouts, it meant that my training had to be pulled back even more. Because if I'd have trained hard, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy life or enjoy work or the other relationships anywhere near the level I've wanted to. Awesome. Well, guys, I'm very happy to hear that the leaderboard doesn't feature on any of our determinants of success. And I know, previously for myself, many years, that has been a big determining factor as to whether or not I've been successful. But I love that we focusing on things that are within our control versus focusing on things that are outside our control. And at the end of the day, you can say that, well, the leaderboard kind of is within our control because our effort or our execution dictates where we finish. But the leaderboard placing is also determined by everyone else in the world in the workouts, which we have no control over. So, rewarding ourselves for effort, execution, and strategy is awesome. Let's talk about the quarterfinals. Okay. The quarterfinals, we basically had kind of 10 days, a 10-day transitional period after the 22.3 before we took on the quarterfinals. We did the quarterfinals at Coastal Fitness. We did it over Friday and Saturday. We had 5 events to do. It was, I think the people that qualified out of our coaching team was myself, Lotte, Izzy and Alex. But Alex had decided, I think the nail in the coffin for Al was when I beat him once again in a thruster workout. And he's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not taking part in the quarterfinal. So Alex declined his invitation to the quarters. But Liam...
Skulk?
Oh, and Skulk. Yeah, Skulk qualified as well, South Africa. Did you know that Skulk took the very last spot in South Africa?
Did he?
Oh,
the very last qualifying spot, Skulky took it, which is pretty impressive because, I mean, like you, Lou, basically both of you, this is like your second year of CrossFit. And for both of you to be finishing pretty much, well, he just qualified, you just out of it, is really amazing. Very testament to your ability and your work. But Skulky took it. But then Liam and Andrew decided, because they're crazy bastards, to join us and take part in workouts. So let me firstly ask you, Liam and Lou, why did you decide to step up and be a part of the quarterfinals weekend?
Okay, I'll go first. So, as I've said, I really want to get into the quarterfinals. Not like first thing I want to prove it, and then the second thing I want to do it with the team. So, I really want to get into the quarterfinals and do it with the team, enjoy the environment, enjoy the competition. And although I didn't qualify for the quarterfinals, I still want to do it if I have a chance to do it. And also I know that next year I would be I want to be 100% get into the quarterfinals. So I want to see how my body feels about the quarterfinals and see how a 2-day competition with 5 events feel to my body, and also see where's my limitator. So why not just go for it. And I don't want to stay in the gym alone training bodybuilding, deloading. So yeah, I want to give it a shot and see how I feel about the quarterfinals.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah.
So you're almost using it as a means of learning and preparation for next year.
Yeah.
Carmichael.
Oh, well, I seen there was bench press. I seen that one, the CrossFit other total. I was
yes, I can't wait to get out benched by Ed.
And you did outbench me, but I still won that event, so it's all good.
Yeah.
No, for me it was just So very similar to what Lou said. It was just like, and like we've talked about with the CrossFit Open, it was just experience, right? It was like the challenge, because we all know how important it is to challenge yourselves. But then also from a coach's perspective was, like, I'd never done a competition over a couple of days. And as much as most of my clients are more body composition, I do have a few clients that are competitive and that do events over multiple days. So it's like understanding, okay, what does it feel like to do an event in the morning, really hard event, cool down, eat some food, like how do you eat, what are you going to eat, like what do you need to prioritize, warming back up to get yourself ready for maybe even 2 more events in that day, like the nerves, the whole setup of the whole weekend. So I really used it, yes, for me as a challenge, but more so for as an experience as a coach, which was really cool.
Nice.
And what were some of the biggest takeaways that you learned?
I mean, I fucking loved it. It was so much fun. I think just us being together as a team down at Coastal, we had the tunes on, like we had the cameras on, like fucking lights were on, like it was
cheering each other.
It was really good, like judging and stuff. And what did I take away from it was, like, physically it was really hard. Like I'd never put myself through 3 events in one day, and obviously when we're talking about events, they are hard events.
They were really hard events.
They're really hard events. So like that Saturday, for example, like my body was sore, and that week after.
Is that why you cherry picked the last one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I didn't turn up for the last one because I had other commitments.
It was longer than 8 minutes, so he's like, fuck.
It was a 30-minute workout. I was like, no way am I turning up for that. But yeah, no, it was a really good experience physically for myself and professionally.
Can I ask, I mean, because you two haven't done a quarterfinals where you've qualified, but if I put myself in your shoes, if I hadn't qualified, there's no way that I could have brought anywhere close to the intensity I brought in the workout. I mean, to be honest, after the total, I probably would have sacked off the pistol workout and I would have sacked off the lunge workout because my body was just in that much pain. But, you know, like, what was it that was pushing you guys to actually, because you guys went hard at your workouts. You went, I think if someone was watching, they wouldn't know that you hadn't signed up and qualified. So, you know, what was it within you that was making you want to bring everything, you know, bring full effort to each workout? Liam?
I'll go. Actually, that was one of the things that actually was one of my takeaways. One thing that I noticed with myself, that I don't actually know where my capacity is. Like even on the strength events, like, I mean, Ed and everyone said, like, I actually physically don't know how to dig that deep on like a 1 rep max. Yeah, I'm lifting heavy load, but I feel like I'm still underneath where I should be or the potential that I have. So that was actually one of the takeaways that I had, was that I don't actually know how to push. In terms of why did I do it again, it was just like one experience is like for myself professionally, and then just with the team, it was just so much fun.
I mean, it's funny watching you in a total. You'd like hit a lift and it looks so easy, and you'd be like, all right guys, I'm done. And then you'd look around and we were like, what? Put some weight at the bar. You got 20 more kilos in you. All right, okay. And then you hit put a little bit more weight on, hit it again. But, okay, I'm done. I'm happy with that. We're like, what? Put some weight at the bar. So it'd be interesting to see if you had to do those quarterfinal workouts by yourself in a garage gym. I mean, myself as well. If I did that in a garage gym, I'd be. Lou, how about you? What made you what allowed you to bring full intensity to the whole weekend?
Actually, I haven't think about that question. Like, if I choose to do it, I would, like, everybody is giving 100%. I would just definitely give my 100% to the workout. So, like, I won't think about like whether I'm qualified it or not. Like, as I've said, I'm aiming for that like feeling. I'm aiming for that like challenge to myself. So I would definitely give like 100% if I choose to do the workouts. And
I love that.
Nice.
Yeah. Charlotte.
Hey.
Talk to me about your first quarterfinals.
Okay.
How were you feeling going into it? Obviously, it caught you by surprise, the fact that you qualified.
Yeah, it was good. Going into it, I was just completely open-minded. Let's just give it a go. I've got
because this was a first. You'd never done a multi-event competition, well, actually a CrossFit competition. Yeah, you played sports your whole life, but you actually hadn't done a CrossFit, which I actually didn't realize.
Really?
Until I think after day one we were chatting, and you were like, "Oh, it's the first ever comp I've done." I'm like, "Whoa, shit! I didn't realize that."
It's the first kind of over a weekend, over a few days competition I've ever done. I loved it. I think going into it, I was zero expectations, and just why not? Just back yourself, give it a go. I knew it was like a complete level up, a step up, and it's gonna be bloody hard, but just give it my best efforts. And again, kind of like a little benchmark, see where I'm at. Again, I kind of learned similar to Liam. I struggle to like dig that deep and really push, like knowing my capacity. And actually some of it, I figured out a new limit, like a new PR or anything like that. I hit like a new PB and some lifts and stuff like that. So it was really cool. And I think because I just put zero pressure on myself and I just really wanted to have fun with it, I really surprised myself on how I kind of stepped up to it and my energy through it. I think when I look at the workouts, the ones that maybe I would have got excited about before, or something like a strength event, I'm not like, let's lift the bar, you know, it's just kind of not in my nature. I love coaching it, but I can never really put my body on the line and just give it a go. But that was my favorite event. I absolutely loved it. And I think my attitude going into it was just, I didn't think too much about it, and I just rolled with it.
You literally look like you were having the time of your life.
I was loving it. I was like riding that high for, you can see by my smile, I was riding that high for so long after.
Did you PR all your lifts?
I did, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, the max lift is always on a leaderboard relative to my competition. Is probably where I'm worst, but it's always my most fun event because I just don't put myself, you know, in that headspace. I don't create the same internal environment when I'm training to want to like really go for something heavy. But when it's a competition, this is basically the main reason why I love competing, is that I just know that this weekend or this day or this workout is reserved for this moment. Yeah. It's reserved for this workout. It's reserved for this test, and nothing else matters. When I think about training, you know, training is a small part of a busy day. I've got meetings, I've got clients, I've got professional development, I've got other things I need to show up for, which means that I can't give 100% to my training. I can give 100% focus and intention, but not expend every ounce of physical, you know, whatever I have to give. Whereas in competition, it's like nothing else matters.
Yeah, and I think like definitely with that, like I found my flow state in a lot of like the workouts. Like I've never been like so focused. Like even, you know, Tammy, who was judging me, she's like, I could tell you were just in the zone. Like she said it with 22.3. She was like, you just knew your strategy and you were in the zone. Whereas the quarterfinals, I couldn't really create a strategy because some of it was so new to me. And, you know, I was just chucking the ball in the deep end and let's see how it goes. So it was good to get in the zone. I liked it.
I seen you on the last of it on the GHD muscle up pistol. The last like maybe about
sweet Jesus
40 seconds. I've never seen someone do GHD so fast in my life. That was
I
bloody
actually don't
impressive.
think I've ever put myself in that place.
She had a headache for about 5 hours.
I couldn't get off the floor for about 25 minutes after, and then I looked back and I was like, why did I do that? Like, but it was cool. I liked it.
Okay, quick questions. And I might ask why, I might not ask why, but the first question is, which was the most challenging workout in the quarterfinals for you? Go. This is supposed to be a quick fire round.
Sorry. The most difficult one would be definitely the muscle up one, because like I like pistol and GHD, I can go through it easily. Like not easily, but like I can still manage to go through it. But like for those muscle up, I struggled. Like I missed a couple reps, and then luckily you Ed and Tammy helped me like a little bit on those like tips, and then I managed to get it back, but still it's my limitator, so I feel really frustrated. And like I really want to improve my ring muscle up after that. And then yeah, if I can get like 10 ring muscle up, and then I can definitely go through those GHDs and pistols, right? So yeah, that's
your most challenging one.
Yeah, that's the most challenging one.
Liam, most challenging workout?
The handstand push-up. Deficit handstand push-ups were very, very hard.
You hadn't done many in training, had you?
I've never done a deficit kipping handstand push-up, and we used the plates, which obviously you don't start blaming tools and stuff, but just that hand placement on a plate was very different to a mat. So I struggled big time there.
Nice. Any lessons?
That I need to work on my deficit handstand push-ups.
With plates.
Lotte,
most challenging workout?
I'm going to go with Lou on this one. I think the muscle up GHD pistol one. I think it is because I had all the movements, but I didn't have them to like a high capacity. And I had I got in my own head, and like with my kip on my muscle up, it's not quite on point just yet. And I ended up doing all 10 strict.
You did, yeah.
And I think it's just the toughest because I've actually never been that dead after a workout. Like I had to sit on the floor. I felt like I'd been on 100 roller coasters in like 20 seconds. And I felt really tough after that. Mentally, I actually found the last one the hardest one because I was so drained from the total weekend. And looking at the movements of the final one, I love a long workout. I'm more of an endurance athlete, and mentally I just couldn't get there for it.
Interesting. So yeah, last workout was the only workout where I was like, okay, this doesn't hurt too many joints. I'm actually quite looking forward to this. And it's long and it's light.
I think it was just because it was the last one. Like, I think if it was any workout there. But I think because I was very comfortable with like a lot of the movements, I was like, yeah, I should be really good at this. And then I was just kind of like, I was really tired from the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I had 3 really hard workouts. The first one was like the walking lunge workout was challenging for 2 reasons. Double overhead walking lunges are like the hardest movement for me. Like my overhead position is not great. I mean, we were doing some walking lunges just a few days before. We were doing single arm dumbbell walking lunges, and Liam was pissing himself. He's like, mate, I've never seen you struggle with the movement so much. And I was like, you wait till you see 2 dumbbells over my head, mate.
Yeah, that was the first time that I've trained with Ed for just over a year now that I've seen him like actually struggle with his efficiency in a movement. Like you were actually like that dumbbell was all over the place. You fucking lost your core. I was like, whoa.
Your bum was sore
said
for
to me
days.
like, mate, if that's 2 dumbbell overhead walking lunge in the quarterfinals, I'm fucked. And literally that was like the first workout again.
And I also, after the strength event, like I tweaked my knee a little bit. It's like a knee issue that I've had all year. It's like a bit of left knee patella, which is my good knee actually, patella tendonitis, and it got triggered a little bit on my second last clean, and it just like hung around all weekend. And genuinely, the other thing about that workout was that the lunge workout was just like a body weight lunge was really painful. And so from that moment onwards, every workout which had knee flexion, which was every single workout, thanks Bosman, I really had to like bring myself up to a level of adrenaline and like focus to get through the workout. Like if I'd have just gone into a calm, I genuinely, the pain was actually too much. I wouldn't have been able to do a pistol, wouldn't be able to do a snatch, wouldn't have been able to. So it was like I was fucking slamming coffees, like listening to loud music, like doing shit I would never normally do to get me in the zone. Because I know when adrenaline kicks in, I can do anything. But like, you know, that's why I think this weekend was such a punishing weekend for me, because the workouts, every workout had a movement that was a limiter for me anyway. Strict handstand push-ups, double dumbbell overhead walking lunges, really, really hard. Like 185 pound snatches, it's not my max, but they're not light as well. Pistols, really hard. The only workout was kind of nice was that last one because it didn't have too much in there. So because each workout already really challenged my weaknesses, and my body felt like a train wreck the whole weekend, it was like probably the most challenging weekend of tests in all the competitions I've done in my CrossFit career that I've ever had to put myself through. Which is funny because my one goal this year was to get through the quarterfinals healthy.
When I was actually going through my reflections of the quarterfinals, it actually sounds like I'm changing my answer now. Workout 4, the first one of day 2 that we did, the row, bow box, jump over, and snatch.
Oh yeah.
I actually had pretty much gone into that workout. Sorry, workout 3 had gone into that workout with my mind switched off because that I haven't hit a 62 kg snatch before. 61, sorry. So when I was doing my reflections, I was like, well, why did I have that? And I think, you know, it's the first workout of day 2. Everyone was actually pretty tired. Like the mood in the gym was very like mellow.
And also lights is off.
The lights didn't work downstairs, and everyone was just like very somber. And I actually think I just turned my mind off before that had even, because I knew I could row and do the burpees, and then I was just going to look at the bar.
You didn't even you see what you're saying, you didn't give yourself a chance to be successful.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that workout, my legs were so, I could hardly, that morning, I really genuinely, I know I said this, I could hardly put my socks on. It was like a real, I was like gritting my teeth to bend over to touch my feet. And I was just thinking like, how am I going to snatch 185 pounds? I can't even put my shoes on. Got into the gym and like literally bending over to pick a bar off the floor to move to my warm-up area. I was like, my legs have never been this sore in my entire life. Like the thought of like even doing an overhead squat with an empty bar was already like making me anxious. But again, adrenaline's an amazing friend. I managed to get myself
my
out.
ice drip coffee.
And then Lou's ice drip coffee definitely helped me a lot. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up now. But we've already just started talking about some reflections from the Open, things we learned from the quarterfinals. What are you going to take from this year's competitive year, so the Open and the quarterfinals, and how are you going to bring that into your preparation for next year? What are your goals for next year? What do you want to achieve, Liam?
So very similar to what I've done this year. So was just to keep developing more skills. Like I kind of know what my ideal version of fitness is. So that's playing around with different things. Like I've said it on this podcast before, I don't want to be married to any like methodology. I want to just use really good principles and just have fun with my training. Like training's important to me, but my job is important to me. My relationships are important to me. So it's finding that sweet balance. Just continuing to what I done last year. Like I just want to be better than who I was yesterday and who I was last year and who I was 6 months ago. That's all I want to do.
Awesome. Love it. Lou, goal for next year?
Goal for next year is definitely
top
like
10%.
Top 10%. But doing it with like 100% confidence. Like I don't need to question myself whether I can get into the first 10%. I want like next year in February or March, I want to I'm sure that I'm gonna do it. Like it's not gonna be easy, but like I'm sure that I can get into the first 10%. That's my goal. And
nice.
Then for training, I want sometimes I like to pull back a little bit during like aerobic training, or like sometimes training I want to see if I can give a little bit more, dig a little bit deeper every single time. And then that's it.
Nice. Lou. Charlotte.
Nice. I think for me, first and foremost, is always to have fun with my training. Once I kind of start enjoying it, it's never a good headspace for me. So have fun with it. And I think, just keep getting better and better. I can take a lot of confidence from this year, I think. And Ant has earned one more year.
Nice. Well done.
So just continuing to develop my skills, get fitter, get stronger, and enjoy the process of it.
Nice. Awesome. My goal. Well, next year, I'm a Masters athlete.
Dun, dun, dun.
Watch out.
Hey.
Actually, Lou, I need you to do some research for me because you are the stats man. I need you to tell me if I would have actually qualified in the 35-year-old age group this year. Because it's actually quite hard. You need to finish top 10% in the world in your age group, not just in your continent anymore. And I actually don't know if I would have made it. But anyway, the reason I'd liked, even if I qualified to quarterfinals next year, I'm going to do the Masters genuinely because of two reasons. Number one, there's a longer rest after the Open, so I can actually recover. And number two, I'm just hoping that they go a little bit lighter with the loads and they don't program as many pistols in the Masters. Genuinely, that's something that I'm really hoping for. And I'd actually just...
It's a new experience.
It's a new experience. I'd actually love the challenge of like having a different format, having a bit of a different label on me. I definitely, there's a lot of people who turn into Masters and like, I don't feel like I don't want to be labeled as a Master. I'm going to be an individual and still do it as long as I can. I'm not that guy. I want to be a part of the Masters where I belong. I also would love to do some little competitions next year. I acknowledge now fully that I bring intensity when there is a competitive environment. But if there isn't a competitive environment, it's very hard for me to make that commitment because, as I said, there's other things that are really important to me in life. And so I know one of the biggest reasons I struggled so much this year competing was that I hadn't prepared my body for the intensity required on the weekend. That's totally my fault. There was I can blame it on other things outside of my control, the gym closing, lots of stress on my plate. But at the end of the day, I finished last year's quarterfinals. I said, next year, I want to prepare myself better. And you probably all heard me say, I want to be doing 2-a-days for the 5-6 weeks leading up to it.
You said you were going to be doing pistols every week.
I said I'll do pistols every week. I didn't do a pistol till the week before the quarterfinals. There's a lot of shit I said I'd do, which I didn't do. And I actually paid the price for it. So, as we get periodically throughout the year, halfway through the year, we've all said we're going to run a process programming competition. I'm going to take part in that this year to give myself a touch of competitiveness midway through the season. And I'm definitely going to try, assuming all's well and body's healthy and life is set up for it, I'd like to give myself a better chance to be successful in the competition next year.
Nice.
Team, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been great.
And I look forward to doing more in the future.